Hello everyone, Glowstone here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Ruin and Rising. This is a very hard review to do because this book is weird. But I finished it, like, halfway through the book. I had no idea what I wanted to rate this book, because this book had some good stuff, bad stuff, and I didn't know what to rank it. Because I was gonna, at every 50 pages, I rank it, how would I like the 50 pages, and then I average it when I finish the book. And it was very surprising. Shadow and Bone, 81, Siege and Storm, 84, and this, there was the one before the last 50 pages, and the average was 81. So it depended on the last 50 pages if this was better than Shadow and Bone, or if it was not as good, which you'll see at the end of the video. So wait till the end of the video. Wait a minute. I'm just you can see the notes. Okay, so yeah, what are my general thoughts about Ruin and Rising? This one's very weird. I didn't know. Do I like this or do I not? I didn't really like that much stuff at the beginning of this book. But then it like flipped and there started to be more interesting stuff, a bit more interesting, and then the ending, which is just weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's good or if it's bad because it's just so many weird stuff in the ending that it's like, okay, this is really cool. I'm really enjoying what I'm reading, but it doesn't really make that much sense. So let's just talk about the beginning of the book for now. And I didn't really like this one. Coming off of Siege and Storm, I was getting kind of sick of the series, which, I mean, I've read 5 books in a row by the same author. I mean, I'm getting kind of sick of it. That's why I'm taking a break before I read the other ones, because that'll make those books way lower on my ranking. So that's why I'm reading other books right now. But yeah, I just got very sick of this doing the same stuff. Okay, there's an ambush. Okay, and the thing that made Siege and Storm so great is the character development. There's no character development for most of the characters in this. Besides for, like, Mal, and a couple of Zoya, and a couple of the other ones, there's, like, no character development for Alina or anything, because Alina's already changed by the end of Siege and Storm, and this one is basically just end of Siege and Storm Alina for the whole book, and it's not that good, and it really shows for the first half of the book, and I just didn't like it. I didn't like all the stuff they were doing. They seemed like they were just making up things to happen, like, it was a TV show where every certain amount of pages, there would be a new problem, and then next certain amount of pages, there would be a new problem that they'd have to find, and by the end of it, it's all resolved, and then they move on to the next one. And I don't really like that. That didn't really work that well for me, because, yeah, I feel like the author knew it was going to become a TV show. She didn't. I'm not saying that this did, but it felt like the author knew that this was going to be a TV show, and she wanted it to make it easier to become into a TV show. I don't know. It was just so weird, and I didn't really like it that much. I was getting bored of it. I didn't like the characters. One of my main problems with this is the team up. There's a set group of people that are with Alina, and they're basically that. You get this, like, this is a spoiler free, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's, like, 5 people, there's probably more, but 5 people that are part of the Alina group. They do all the missions with Alina and everything, and I'm not really a big fan of them. Like, they're trying to make the conversations with them interesting, but they're not really interesting, especially once you get near the half of the book, and, or after the climax, but which is around half. I don't know, that one part where, I'll talk about that later. But yeah, it just didn't really do it for me, and I didn't really like this book. It just felt the most bland and boring and basic book out of the trilogy, and I didn't like it at all. Well, the first one was like an origin story. The second one was the development. This one just felt like a weak third book that just failed. until we got to one part, which is around 250 pages in, and they go, and basically all this stuff happens in this one place. I forgot what place it was. The main characters have to flee. A lot of characters die, or the characters change in weird ways. It's just really cool. And first, when this happened, I didn't really like it because it was just kind of copying Siege and Storm's finale, and I didn't really like that. Because it was like, oh, randomly the Darkling shows up, cool, and it just But then what happens is some of the best stuff in this entire... Let me see if it's like the best stuff in this entire series. I think so. I think that was the best 50 pages of the entire series. Where, yeah, all that stuff happens. The Darkling has a moment where he fails at doing something, and it is shown that where he sees the face of the Darkling after he knows he messes something up. And he just completely changes the character completely. And it changes him for the rest of the book. It literally changes him for the rest of the book. And that is just really well done. And then there's some other stuff. A lot of the characters die, and that's just wow. I didn't know that this was going to take such a dark turn. I knew Siege and Storm. Siege and Storm had a lot of deaths at the end of it. Ruin and Rising... That's just like, oh my god, you kill off like half the characters, what the heck. And, yeah, so that from that point, it gets better. Doesn't get amazing, it gets better. And to where most of the episodes are out of the 70% that I did, a 7 out of 10. The beginning of the first half, most of them were 7 out of 10s. But now we're going to start some 8 out of 10s. 8.5 out of 10s. And it's doing it much better, especially once we get to the ending, where we get to the last 100 pages, and I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about them. I thought they were enjoyable, but the more I think about it, it's kind of weird. But basically... There's this twist about Mal. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a twist about Mal near the end of the book. I don't know how I feel about that. When I was reading it, I was like, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like a good reveal. It just feels like something like, really? Really? But... It didn't really bother me as much as I thought, and it actually was kind of enjoyable. Although, yeah, it was kind of weird. So yeah, that did knock it down a little bit, but it was an interesting reveal. And yeah, there's also the ending, the very final battle. It just feels like it went too quick. Like, what the heck? They had, like, a lot of stuff in the other ones where there was a big ending, and this one is just like, oh, they're in the fold, oh, it's already done, and it like within like 30 pages, it's weird. It doesn't make that much sense, and yeah, but I still really enjoyed it, although the ending, I don't know. I don't really think that that's what would happen to the characters. I don't think that's what happened to Alina and Mal. I don't think that they would do that, but they do, and it's weird. I'm not sure, and I don't know. But the last 50 pages were really good, and I gave it a high score, and that pushed it up to 82%, beating Shadow and Bone. So, this is the second best. I still think Siege and Storm was just better, because just about the character development, the plot was not focused, but it took risks, and the risks were really well done with all the stuff. And yeah. But this, just looking at the cover, this doesn't really feel like an ending. Just because of all the twists and stuff that happened, it completely changes it. The whole series told through trilogy. And I'm not really sure that's if I like it or not. But I ended up liking this book enough, and even though all the stuff that I did say about it, I thought it was pretty enjoyable, especially the second half of it. Although I hate Zoya. Yeah. But anyways, that's gonna be it for the review. 82% is the ending. Look at my other reviews. I've done 6 of Crows, and now I finished the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I'm gonna be taking a break from the series though before I go on to the next couple ones. I'm going to be rereading the Harry Potter books, and I'll give my review on that just the same as this, and then some other books away. So just wait until I finish a lot of those books before I go on to King of Scars. It's not going to be soon, but it'll happen eventually. Bye.